Yep.
A very good evening, everybody. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David, looking out on a night that has followed a dry day. The very first one we've had in quite some time, as the pile of laundry I saw this morning indicated, and some of it is finally done. But it was very nice to have a dry day. And it got up to 17 degrees here, and it's quite calm, so that was pretty good too. It was lovely to see the sun. At the moment it's 15 degrees and about 5 knots from the south-southwest, 1016, and I put 100% cloud cover, but I hadn't looked out to the northeast, and I'm looking out now and there's a bit of blue, so it's probably about 85%. We've got a couple of boats at sea, and I've just had a lovely conversation with friends that we used to cruise with many years ago. They stopped because they had a son, and I was staggered to know that he is now 6 foot tall and 13 years old. Isn't that amazing? And they were inquiring about the Magic Dragon. So hopefully we'll talk to Josh tonight, and we've got Sugar Shack. And there might be the odd one going from Tonga to Fiji. We'll wait and see. Not too much news to tell you about. It's all very confusing. There's all sorts of mayhem in the world, actually, in Africa, in the Middle East, between Israel and the West Bank, and of course there's the Ukraine versus Russia problem. But anyway, the Americans had a nice long weekend. Unfortunately, there was rather a lot of problems of violence. I think there were about 20 multiple shootings, but we won't dwell on that one. But they have had got some news. The minimum wage has gone up in many places in the United States. I didn't realize, but of course all the states have different minimum wages, and they are quite low in places like Nevada. It's gone up to $11.25 an hour. But in places that are more expensive to live, such as San Francisco, it went to $18.07. Oregon is $14.20. Quite a range, isn't it? Washington, D.C., it's up to $17 an hour. And Los Angeles is $16.78. So, yeah, it depends where you are. So I'm not going to do much more on anything until I hear from David, who's going to just do a bit of a review of the weather in the Southwest Pacific, and then I'll go to boats. By that stage, they should have got near the radio. Here's David.
All right. Good evening to you from me. And we might as well start off and talk a little bit about Fiji for anybody that's up there that might be listening. Hopefully they might be a few. Anyway, Fiji Met has a strong wind warning that's in force for northern Vanuatu waters, and that would include the Vatui-Ra Passage. And that means winds southeasterly about 20 to 25 knots, and you certainly could expect rough seas with that. And their further outlook for that area is 20 to 25 knots. And for the rest of Fiji, apart from that area, southeast winds still about 15 to 20 knots, but they're continuing with rough seas and southerly swell, all moderate. And as far as the big picture goes, we have a major trough that's running from the Solomons. It runs over the top of Tuvalu, and then it more or less slides down to the southeast, where it takes care of Samoa. Samoa is certainly getting the worst of it, and it continues on to the southeast from there. That's the only major trough. There's one up in the northern Cooks, and there's a trough in the southern Cooks. But as far as between Fiji and New Zealand, if you were to draw a straight line, there is no trough and no front as we speak today. That's going to change. The high actually is centered between New Zealand and Fiji. Very, very mellow high, about 10-20 millibar. And to show you how big this is, the isobars extend from west of New Caledonia all the way to French Polynesia. Now, there's hardly any air at the moment between, say, 32 south, maybe 30 south, and up to about 25 south. Give you an idea of the isobars there. The 1018 isobar runs basically from New Caledonia down to Norfolk Island, down to about 30, maybe 33 south. Then it goes northeast to just to the south of Raoul Island, and then it goes up to 20 south and about, we'll call it 170 west, and then it heads straight over to New Caledonia. So everything in between that line, there's not much air. So that was the 1018 isobar. And as far as the future goes, for those of you that are underway that are heading to Minerva, we were talking yesterday about the frontal band that is going to be heading that way. We have a new depression that's in the Tasman that's going to be over New Zealand by Friday. But anyway, for those of you heading to Minerva, my guess is by Sunday the 9th, and probably about noontime, the tip of that frontal band will be over Minerva Reef, and you could expect gusts from that probably up to about 25 knots. And there will be rain involved in this as well. But the fortunate part is that's the tip of the frontal band itself. So after that time and day, it will slide off, and things will improve for Minerva Reef. There will still be some wind, though. The wind come Monday is going to be in Minerva. This is probably about, be southwest winds, maybe about 20 knots, gusts up to about 20, 22 knots, and that's Minerva Reef. So that's the basic idea of what's going on in the Southwest Pacific. That low, by the way, by Monday will be, it'll be south, probably about 30, we'll call it about 38 south, and almost the date line. That would be the center of it. And we'll have cyclonic isobars all the way from the Tasman, almost all the way up to Minerva, and then it bends around to the southeast. And that whole area in between what I just said are cyclonic winds, and quite a bit of wind south of 25. So if you're in between 25 and New Zealand, you could expect a fair amount of breeze by Sunday. I don't know where most of you will be, but there's going to be areas of winds up to 40 knots, 40, maybe 42 knots. So that's the big picture and a little bit of look toward the future. And with that, I'll pass it back to the chief. We'll see if we can get a few boats.
Yeah, well, the boats look as if, looking at the speeds today, they've had a bit of a relaxing day, which is actually quite nice after a couple of pretty breezy days. So let's try with Sugar Shack, Gulf Harbour Radio.
Good evening, this is Matt and Christina on board Sugar Shack, and we are doing well, albeit slowly. Our course is 29 degrees, 54 minutes south, 176 degrees, 54 minutes east. We're on a course of 0 to 7 true, a boat speed of 5.0. Wind is 5 to 6 knots from the southwest, and we have 1.5 meter swell from the southwest. We have approximately 438 to go to Minerva, and there's about 80% cloud coverage. Over.
Okay, well, that's good signal from you tonight, Christine. It's amazing when you get through that 30-degree mark. 2954 south, 17654 east on a course of 027 true at 5 knots. 5 to 6 knots southwest wind. Boy, it's not much, is it? Boy, it must be nice to have a catamaran in those conditions. 1.5 meters swell southwest, and they've got 80% cloud cover And 4382 Minerva. Is that North Minerva, or are you going to just play it by ear depending on where you are? Over.
We're going to play it by ear, but I'm hoping we can get to go to both of them, but we're just shooting for the middle right now.
All right. So, did you have anything further, David? Hang on a minute.
Well, I'm sure you have your gribs, and you probably know what you're up against tomorrow, which is you're not going to be up against much. If you get up to about 27:30 and say the dateline, if you're in that neighborhood, there's hardly any wind at all, maybe 8 knots, 5 knots to 8 knots. Not much, and that's by lunchtime tomorrow. So be able to relax a bit. Over.
Yeah, we had a really, really beautiful spinnaker run today. We take that down at night just because everything always happens at 2 or 3 in the morning. So we're motoring now, but during the day it was actually quite lovely. Really comfortable and averaging 6 to 7 knots with our spinnaker. Over.
Oh, that was lovely. Yeah, the spinnaker flying, especially if it's nice and bright and colourful, is always really makes you feel good, doesn't it? And it's wise to bring it down at night time, isn't it, David?
I think so.
Okay, I'll tell some tales out of school, seeing as we've got plenty of time. We were on our way across the Atlantic, and we were actually not too far away from Guadeloupe. But anyway, it was pretty light conditions. So when I went off to bed, because I come on at midnight usually, we decided to leave the spinnaker up, and I went down into the berth, and the sound of the water was really, really rushing by. I thought, geez, we're really doing well. And anyway, it stopped, the rushing water, and after a time of wonder, David comes in, and I said, haven't really had much sleep, and he said, well, the spinnaker's gone. And I said, what do you mean the spinnaker's gone? Do you mean gone? Yeah, gone. And so anyway, we went up and found that it wasn't really gone. It was still attached at the bottom, and it was trailing in the water, which has certainly slowed us down. And anyway, we got it back ashore on the boat, and it was hardly damaged at all. I think there was only just one little bit that the shackle had gone at the top, but the accident investigation showed that the crew person on watch had decided it was getting a bit chilly because, quote, the wind had come up. So he went down below, lay on the couch, and went to sleep. And the wind really did come up, which is what I had noticed lying in the berth, because we were ripping along. And that is what caused. And certainly I can't remember what the top speed was when I looked at the gauge, but it was rather significant for our tubby Moody 47. So there you go. It is wise, Christine, to put the spinnaker down at night time with only one person on watch. Over.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's an awful but yet great story. I think we've all had an experience where the spinnaker decided to take a dip in the water.
Yeah, it was yes, quite funny really. We had quite a few events on that particular passage. So it's funny, you remember all the things you do wrong, but you don't always remember the things that go well. Anyway, sounds like a very, very peaceful next 24 hours for you, so that will be rather nice, so you'll enjoy that. So certainly all is well on board. I shall mark down on the Good Sugar Shack, and if you could just stand by, I'm interested to see whether the Magic Dragon has got a better signal tonight, so I might need to call you in again. So we'll clear with Sugar Shack and go to the Magic Dragon. Josh, are you on frequency?
I don't have a radio. Magic Dragon.
Oh, much better tonight, Josh. And I don't know whether you heard before, but we had a very interesting call from Peter, who was looking after your progress and trying to hear you tonight. He was getting the radio going on Rapaki. Hadn't talked to them for a long time, and I was stunned to hear that the babe in arms that I remember is now 6 foot tall and 13 years old. But so yes, they're listening for you tonight. Go ahead with your position.
Oh, thanks very much. It's great to hear. Yeah, I put two and two together when you said that was Leroy you were talking about there. Yep, so yeah, we're receiving you guys unfortunately tonight. Position here is 30 degrees 18.8 south. That's 30 degrees 18.8 south. 176, 17.66, 176. 17.68, so I think we make ourselves about 25 or so miles south and slightly west of Sugar Shack. How'd you copy that, over?
Yep, I've got a good copy on that, and given that you're so close, I'm sure all your conditions are pretty much the same, but I would like your course and speed. So, much better conditions tonight for the radio. That's interesting, isn't it? I forgot to ask Sugar Shack. I presume they've got a vertical antenna, and I presume you've got the backstay, but it just made a really big difference to everything. And yeah, there's quite a few boats in suffering the light winds that you would have heard David talking about. So course and speed, please, Josh.
Our course is 25 degrees through, 25 through. We are currently motor sailing at 6.7 knots. 6.7 knots. We've got 737 miles to run with Sugar. We may yet decide to go to Minerva depending on what happens. Just wondering what time I heard David saying that the front coming through and the tip of the front looking Minerva just what time that's due to cross over Minerva, over.
Roger, I'll hand the microphone back to look at when this front is going to be over the Minerva area. Stand by.
Yeah, to begin with, both the...
Hang on.
We're on the backstage, but we are just a single wire to sign on to the backstage.
Oh, okay. Single wire. Okay, long wire. Yep.
Okay, well, I was just going to mention that before you get to Minerva, looking at Saturday about lunchtime, that depression that I talked about, the outer edge of it is probably going to be tickling both you and Sugar Shack, and I would expect you might see northwest winds gusting up to 26, 27 knots. That's Saturday. And with regard to the frontal band, that will be over Minerva on, hang on one second. That will be over Minerva on Sunday. Looks like Sunday morning, about breakfast time. It'll be over Minerva, and you'll get some rain out of that and some squalls and that sort of thing. The wind gusts will be up to about 25 knots, I would guess. So that's Sunday about breakfast time. Over.
Thank you. Okay, so you're expecting up to start getting northwest 27 knots.
Yeah, unfortunately, someone started up our pack door, but yes, that is, you've got that right. Saturday northwest gusting up to 27, and the front will be over Minerva on Sunday morning, gusting 25, and I presume that's what the wind will have backed then, David. Hang on, I'll give them the microphone again.
Yeah, I forgot to mention there'll be a wind change at Minerva then, so you'll be looking at west to west-southwest winds at that point. The isobars take a quick turn right around the date line, so instead of running southwest to northeast, they'll be running northwest to southeast. Well, I'll say that again. Instead of running from the southwest to the northeast, they'll make the bend at around the date line, a little bit past the date line, to northwest to southeast. So you can just see the big curve, cyclonic isobars, and that'll cause the wind change. So it'll go from northwest to west to basically southwest or west-southwest. Over.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so thanks very much for that. I did send through an email with me today, just wanted to whether or not email from a Shell Force Jane at Whitman.
Yeah, it was. In fact, I was going to comment on that because it came through by 1 o'clock. And people that send via snail mail, boy, it takes a few hours to get to us sometimes. And that came through really, really promptly. Which station did you use, Josh? Over.
You were just using Nigel Goldstone station, you know, to engage. Yeah, so yeah, Nigel.
Yeah, I actually listened to all you guys on his. He's got an antenna there for me, a dipole, because it's so noisy. Actually, I'm listening to you now on the home antenna because there's Pactor coming through up there on a different antenna, but it affects the noise. And yeah, he's got just a wonderful setup there because there's no power. He's got all solar panels, everything himself, so he's completely off grid. But he was telling me that he's now got a station because he's working over in Gisborne at the moment and got one there. So I just sent an email before the net started as to what the station ID was. So yeah, it worked really quickly. So that was really good. All right. Well, all on the Magic Dragon. Have a lovely, peaceful time here. It's good to have the engine ticking along and make the progress to keep ahead of things. So that's good. Get them out fishing tomorrow. That will give them something to do. All right. I'm just going to see if there's anybody else. And stay on frequency, Josh, to see if Peter has got his radio working and you might want to have a chat. So is there anybody else for Gulf Harbour Radio? Oh, yes, I certainly do. Champagne has always got a very nice signal. So, but I've forgotten where you guys are, over.
Yeah, well, I'm on our way to New Caledonia, and we arrived there, and I meant to call you, but we got confused with the time difference, and I kept missing you, and then you didn't seem to be living for a few days, and I thought maybe you'd gone on holiday. There's something on the website about July and August. Anyway, I'm glad to see you back on, and we are now on our way to Australia. We've just left from here today, and we're on our first day of our passage to Mackay. Over.
Oh, goodness gracious me. All right, so I'll get David having a look at... you tell me, give me your position and conditions at the moment, Martin. Have you got the same folk on board, over?
Quite days. We've got Ed, he's gone back to New Zealand now. I've got my son Miles on board. Miles is now on board. And 22 now. Working by 40. And also the ground is 2 by 2. We're going to see about 2.5 knots. And we've got a wind speed of 8 to 8 to 9 knots.
Okay, Champagne on their way from New Caledonia to Mackay, 2209 south, 16546 east, course 252, and I've put true because I think you give me true, but correct me if I'm wrong, 6.5 knots, and a westerly of 8 to 9 knots. So there was something else that you gave me, but it didn't make much sense. What was the other thing you said, over?
No, that's all I gave you, I think. It was magnetic. All my things are magnetic, not true, I'm afraid. Just to say, well,
Okay, make that magnetic. I was just trying to look back to see what you'd done. So that saved looking. And, that is an interesting trip. I'm just going to pass the microphone so David can tell me what you can expect.
Yeah, Martin, you're going to expect nothing tomorrow. I've moved you to about 163, roughly 163 on the longitude, and you're going into almost a dead area of wind. There's hardly any isobars where you're at, and I would be surprised if you got 5 knots of wind, if you had anything. Over.
Yeah, well, we've got a little diesel that all the way up. We might get that up if we get 5 months a week. It's a lot, but it's beautiful out here. Lovely clear sky, and light long periods that are 12 seconds periods. Lovely. So yeah. Anyway, we knew that was going to happen, and we didn't really.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Saturday, you will get wind, and I would suspect it'll be more or less southerly quadrant anyway. And probably, if I had to make a guess, looking at a couple of these models, probably about 12 to 15 knots. So that'll move you along and in a pretty good direction, too. Over.
Yeah, that's great. We look forward to that. Now, Patricia, did you? I sent you an email actually. Did you get that?
Let me think. I don't think I did. Hang on. I just, if it was a while ago, and my brain's a little bit slow, so I'm just going to go and have a look here. But I don't think I did get any email from you because I would have remembered. And I don't think. No, I didn't get an email from you. Did you send it to ghradio@extra, which is xtra.co.nz? Over.
I can't remember. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I was really only sending you an email to let you know that we'd arrived safely and then apologise for not getting through to you that last day when I said I would. But anyway, the other thing that I wanted to mention in the email, I didn't mention in the email, was that we are actually on course for England. I don't know that you probably didn't know that around the world. And I was just wondering how long we would be able to continue communicating with you.
Well, that's going to be interesting. I don't, not on this frequency. We probably will lose you after you've gone to the start of the. Well, actually, that's not quite true because the trouble with me is I don't really have good familiarity with this time that we're operating because it used to be in the morning, as you probably know.
Get them up to the Coral Sea.
And we definitely get you to the Coral Sea. But we have a boat that's going to be up there too, and I might look at doing a different frequency, a higher frequency. But at this stage, I know it's not all that good. We lost a boat in Darwin and just couldn't get them any further. So I'll have to do some study of the tables just to see what happens. Over.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just thought that would be fun. I mean, we're going to Matai and then we're going to head up behind the reef up to Thursday Island and we'll be heading across to Indonesia. And I just thought it might be fun to try and keep in touch with you for as long as possible as we go around the world, just for a couple of frequencies. Not obviously for the public one, but maybe we can have a special private sketch if you're interested, only if you're interested, just for a bit of fun, over.
Yeah, it would be fun. There's a boat, British boat, has just left. Actually, there's been a group just leave from Darwin to go up in return. So you've missed out on joining that lot. But it does look a bit interesting checking into Indonesia, I might add. Over.
Oh yeah, well we are actually on the Sail to Indonesia rally. We're just running a bit late. So yeah, we're in the process of all that. Work to get our visas and whatnot, but we're probably not going to be getting there until August, and then we're heading on up to Malaysia, Thailand, and across to India. I don't know how far we can actually communicate with you, but it would be set up from Peter Moss. We'll give it a go and see if we can get you all the way around the world over.
Yeah, it would be fun to see what we can do. You are not ham radio operators, are you? Over.
No, I just don't really know what that means.
Okay, so no, it's just that it is easier in the ham band because there's various people that link in for relays and things. But Yeah, all right. Well, we'll have to have a look at that one. It would be quite fun, wouldn't it, to be able to keep in contact and hear all the dramas. Oh, well, not too many dramas, I don't suppose, but yeah, it will be interesting to follow your progress. Okay, Martin. Nothing much more from here. So thanks for checking in, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow night. Yeah, we had. Well, we thought that there was not going to be any boats around, but then a great mob left this week, and so we didn't operate Saturday and Sunday because there was nobody around, but things have livened up again, so here we are. All right, we'll clear with champagne. Is there anybody else? No, nothing heard. I'm just going to now call Rapaki. Rapaki, any copy? No, and I suspect he wouldn't copy me because I transmit from my home station, and it might Nelson is just not that far away really. So and he might not have his radio working anyway. So but we'll try and organise something with Josh and Peter tomorrow. Okay, have a good evening, everybody. Sounds absolutely delightful out there. And in fact, it's not really cold here. It got up to 17 today, which I know doesn't sound, if you're sitting in Fiji, it doesn't sound very warm at all. But without the rain, it was rather pleasant. Okay, cheers, everybody. The frequency is yours if you want to use it. Bye. Oh, what's going on here?